Hello and welcome to the Trending Now podcast for this Friday, February 28th, 2025. I'm Louis Butko. A lot to get to in a busy week in which we didn't have a whole lot of shows. That's because we were very busy covering the election, which we will get to in just a second with Emily Taylor. But right now, very pleased to welcome to the show Manisa Danaballin, who is the host and producer of Trending Now. And,
hello.
Hey, great to see you.
Great to see you, too.
You did something different with your hair. It took me a full 24 hours to realize what it was, though.
I blow dried it.
You blow dried
with
did you have to
with my
straighten it
latest
too?
new hair dryer.
So did you have to straighten it too, or does it because it just dries and it's straightened?
No. So my hair is super curly when I wash it. So then I put this little extension onto my hair dryer, and then I just literally comb through it.
Because I saw you for a few hours yesterday, and I was like, "There's something different." And then today, I was like, "Oh, it's straight.
It's the hair.
It's the hair." Yes, we were just talking off camera. We have made it through the election.
Yeah.
Weeks of planning.
Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Weeks of planning from a lot of people working hard in the newsroom.
Yeah.
How are you feeling today?
I'm tired. Very tired.
We're always tired. We're journalists. We're always tired.
Yeah.
This is another level of tired, it feels.
I mean, it's you know what? I didn't even have it as bad as a lot of people. I mean, you were here much earlier than me. Our assignment editor, Joanna, was here way earlier than me. And she, we all left at the same time. So I shouldn't be this tired, but I am.
But it's the adrenaline of the night.
Yeah, it takes so long to go home and sleep. Yeah. Because you're still in the election mood.
You may notice this is our first show in a while. Because I've been filling in on the morning show. And so that's its own different animal where my alarm goes off at 2:15 in the morning.
How has that been?
It's been great. It's been great. Actually, Emily Taylor and I are going to get to host for a full week.
Next week.
Next week, yeah.
That's
from
amazing.
Wednesday to Tuesday of next week. So.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about that. But I'll talk to Emily about that. We're all tired. But you had to go through dozens and dozens of documents.
It really wasn't that much.
Of pages. Okay,
it was all redacted.
So
did you look at the files? They're all blacked out.
That's why I brought you here, because the Epstein files Part 2 dropped. Pam Bondi, Attorney General for the United States, wrote to Kash Patel of the FBI and said, "Hey, let's get these." Whatever it is, list out. So what was released?
Okay, there really wasn't that much.
Okay.
It was stuff that's all, almost all of it was stuff that people already, that was already in the public domain, right? Yeah. So there was a list of, an evidence list that they put out there, which had some things massage tables, I believe. I might be misquoting this, but stuff like that. And then there was a list of masseuses and stuff. But that was completely blocked out. They put the pages out there and they're all blacked out.
So no new information was released.
Well, the flight logs, people who went through it might have noticed Donald Trump, his wife at the time, Marla Maples, and his daughter. They were on the flight logs, but obviously that doesn't say that he did anything wrong. Yeah. I mean, it's just a flight log. So people are noticing that his name was in it. And then the other thing is. There's a couple other names in it too. I just didn't. I think there's.
This is getting backlash from both people on the right and on the left, right?
Because people expected more.
Yeah.
And they didn't. People were like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna." But even Pam Bondi, she wrote in a letter that she's like, "I wanted all the files and I didn't get all the files," and I'm finding out that. The field office, the FBI field office in New York actually has all the files.
Southern District of New York.
And they haven't. So then she wrote a letter to the FBI director giving him a 8 a.m. deadline today to turn over all the files because she wanted to have it. So, and she did request it. And she didn't get it, so
they're blaming this FBI field office, the Southern District.
That's what it seems like, right? Because and a lot of we all saw who actually got the files at first, and it was a lot of conservative influencers with large social media following, followers and stuff. So, but it was hours later. It was put on the Justice Department's website. So, but unfortunately,
it seems like it's a nothing burger.
It's a lot of nothing.
A big old nothing burger. You have to get the show ready. You're very busy, very, very busy today. So we'll let you go.
What are your plans for your weekend, though?
Oh, my gosh. Thanks for asking.
I want to meet you
today, I'm going to sleep. I plan on going home and sleeping for 10 to 12 hours, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, I think I'm going to the Niagara Ice Dogs game.
Ooh, nice.
OHL. it may or may not be my birthday next week. So
Is it?
it may or may not.
Wait,
be
when's
my
your birthday?
I'm not going to tell you the exact day because I don't want to make a whole thing about it.
What makes you think people are going to make a fuss about it?
Get out
Seriously, when's your birthday?
Well, I'll tell you later. I'll tell you off camera. I don't want to give away personal information on the radio or TV,
because
podcasting.
there's so much people can do with your birthday.
Exactly. Manisa Danabon, thanks for being on the show today.
Hi.
All right. My thanks to Manisa for stopping by. Emily Taylor going to be by in just a second, but I wanted to get to this story. President Donald Trump berated Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelenskyy for being, quote, disrespectful in an extraordinary Oval Office meeting today. And then he abruptly called off signing a deal with the U.S. that said he would have moved that country closer to ending its war with Russia. Now, the astonishing turn of events has the potential to potentially scramble international affairs in Europe and around the globe. During his visit with Trump, Zelenskyy had planned to attend a signing deal that would have allowed the U.S. greater access and then hold a joint news conference. Instead, the Ukraine leader left the White House shortly after Trump shouted at him and showed him open disdain. Zelenskyy reportedly climbed into his armored vehicle and was escorted by protocol officers off-site. Now, Trump has suggested the economic agreement aimed at financing the reconstruction of war-damaged Ukraine is a condition for future U.S. support. Meanwhile, prime ministers, presidents, and foreign ministers across the continent issued statements of support for Zelenskyy and Ukraine. Emily Taylor joins us, not to talk about this, but let's just talk about it real quickly because you were in the canteen eating your lunch. And I mean, you're a true newsie because even on your lunch, you're watching a story that's not about your story today. Really an incredible scene. And, you know, one of those when we have the in-feed studio, like monitors, all four channels were showing the same thing. A real telling moment of week one of the Trump presidency.
It really was shocking to see, right? It's world leaders yelling at each other and not just like going back and forth, but telling Zelenskyy he needs to be grateful, that he needs to thank them for all the support that the U.S. has given so far. It was shocking. I'm not reporting on it. I was just like, oh, wow.
Don't you miss the boring Biden moments? Like, don't you?
I know. I was like, oh, did Biden forget who he's talking to again?
Yeah, did he stumble? Like, I missed that. Now it's just like nonstop. And like, it was, I think it was John Mulaney who did this like bit. It's like there's a horse loose in a hospital where it's like you're always constantly what did the horse do? Like, oh, what did that stupid horse do? Like, that's kind of like,
loose.
That's a John Mulaney line. I'm not calling President Trump stupid or anything. But it's just like you're always constantly checking, like what is the horse doing now?
And
you don't know what it's doing.
No.
Like, he doesn't know what it's doing. It's a horse in a hospital.
And it's so hard not to engage, you know, like as someone both in your reporting, but also just like in your day-to-day life, you want to not always be engaging whatever he's saying next because it is so inflammatory and it is meant to be inflammatory and newsworthy. Yeah. But it's hard not to jump, you know? He says tariffs are coming. We go, great. We have to talk about that. And then he goes, oh, they're not coming. Oh, no, they are. Yes, they're not. I don't know. And it goes back and forth. It's really hard to deal with.
It is hard to deal with. And like, we brought Manisa on here and talking about the election last night, and which we're going to get to in 1 second here. But it's exhausting sometimes, especially on Trending Now. And that's why I always give Manisa her props. And like when you're hosting and filling in, we've all done the job. Yep. Like, you do have to be aware of just about everything that's going on. Yes. Hard to turn it off. Speaking of everything that's going on, it'll be nice, and this is kind of therapeutic for both of us, we were saying. Let's talk about the Ontario election, and let's put it behind us.
Let's talk about it so that I never have to think about it again.
Yes, a lot of brain cells have been going towards this election. And again, I'm not sure why we wasted all those brain cells because there's not much to show for it. Conservatives increased their seat count by just a little bit. Liberals regain official party status. But other than that, I used a nothing burger, but the Epstein files, I'll call this a nothing burger too. Yeah. Other than a very costly election.
No, you're right. It's barely anything ended up changing, right? Ford went into this saying he needed a strong majority. Well, he has the same level of majority as he previously did. He wanted 4 more years so that he could outlast the Trump administration. I mean, maybe that's true if he doesn't call another early election. Who knows? Theoretically, he could stay for 4 years and outlast Trump. depending on what Trump does as well.
Yeah.
Jury's out on 4 years of Trump. But yeah, you're right. Like the NDP, at least at the current tabulation, which may change because there are some elections that are just like really, really close, might get a recount. We're looking at one extra seat for the PCs, one less seat for the NDP. Liberals gain party status. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Bonnie Crombie didn't get her seat. That's, I think, one of the major upsets of the night. Yeah. But
committed to stay on as leader, which I was hosting the panel last night, and that included a former Liberal MPP. So even like there was that moment. It was me, Queen's Park producer Randy Rath, and I think it was Simon Kish. And when she went on there and said, "I'm going to stay on as leader," it was sort of that really moment where, why?
Well, it was even before that. I think you were talking about it, and everyone just assumed, oh, she'll step down as leader, they'll do a leadership race. And then it was so surprising to hear, I'm going to stay on as leader. It was, what? Why? Like, I get there'll be an internal review to see what they could have done better, but to have your leader not even make their own seat in the city they were the mayor of for 10 years and right next to the riding they represented as an MP for a term, that's pretty embarrassing.
And so it's interesting watching last night, because we knew Ford was going to win, right? Like it was a badly kept, you were not hopeful, but there was some sort of thought that maybe the election would be closer.
Yep.
Maybe the polls are wrong, but the polls are right, pretty spot on. We had the poll right before, and the numbers that you had basically matched up pretty well. I was just surprised by the excitement in the room for Marit Stiles' speech and Bonnie Crombie's speech.
Yeah.
Like, they both came out, they both did like the handshaking, smiling, the pointing, oh, you, yes, oh, you. And there was just so much excitement in the building. And I'm like, that's the problem here. Like, you guys just got your asses kicked. And now you're going out there like you won this bronze medal. Like, no, you wanted gold.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even close.
But that was the talk all along, right? That especially when Bonnie Crombie came out and said, we're targeting NDP voters now. It was, is this a race for second place? And they all said, no, I'm all trying to be the next premier of Ontario. But we all knew it was going to be a PC majority. Maybe in some world it could have been a minority, but there was not really a chance that some other party was going to come in and take over as a majority. So it was a race for second place. And yeah, maybe they're surrounded by yes men that are super excited. Maybe their supporters are cheering them on throughout the evening. But yeah, it was pretty good. Stiles, though, won't. I think she'll stay on as leader. She just started 2023 in that by-election after Andrew Horwath stepped down to run for Hamilton mayor. And she, in her own writing, has immense support. I didn't see the final tally for Davenport for last night, but in the 2022 election, it was 57%, if I remember correctly, which is just like a huge majority.
In a three-party system, right?
Yeah, like that's a huge our votes to get in your own riding. So she's very secure, even if her party didn't gain anything here.
And speaking of the three-party system, again, something our panel, I want to say my panel because I'm so proud of all.
They did great. You did great.
You did great. You did great. Our panel, like, we were sort of flabbergasted, like doing the math of, okay, here is the Ford government with 42.9% of the popular vote, claiming 81 seats.
Yeah.
Here is the NDP forming the official opposition with 17% of the popular vote with 26 seats. Here's the Liberals, who had 30% of the popular vote, and they have 14 seats. Like, I know we live in a democracy, but something about that math is not mathing for me.
The math is not mathing.
The math is not mathing.
There's been a lot of talk, especially I think at the federal level, of electoral reform, and I think this is a great example of why that's a good chance or a good choice. I don't know all the intricacies of it necessarily, but my understanding is that with a ranked ballot, there's a lot bigger and more importance on racing for second place because those ballots end up adding up to amount to more than just like, oh, you got the popular vote, but only 14 seats, you know?
I mean, like, I would use Monica Cirillo, thank you.
No worries.
It's been a long 24 hours.
There's a lot of names. I messed up plenty of them last night.
She had, I think, I forget what it finished, but very close near the end, 19,000. And then you had Kojo Damptey, NDP, 11,000. And then actually it was Don Danko second. Also in that 11 to 12,000, strategic voting is not something that was ever discussed. But if you figured if the NDP were to rank that ballot, who voted for Kojo, it'd be a little different. But here you got Monica Cirillo.
There you go.
Getting through.
And that was a big concern for a lot of Hamilton ridings that are traditionally, or at least in the recent past, have been NDP or Liberal, and especially Hamilton Centre. It didn't actually play out in Hamilton Centre the way that we were a little bit, anticipating it to with
and that one wasn't
Sarah
even
Jam.
close.
That wasn't even close.
I thought Jama was going to win it, to be honest.
I was back and forth. I thought it could go NDP or Jama, but I thought it'd be a lot closer of a race. Or because of vote splitting, people who traditionally vote NDP voting for Jama, that the NDP would have lost support and then we would have seen Liberals or even PCs
goes
take.
To show you Hamilton Centre, though.
I know.
And then Niagara was another region. Obviously, it being local, but even if it wasn't local, there were some big opportunities for the PCs that seemed to slip through the cracks.
Yeah, just barely for a few of them. But the polling also, I think, showed it a little bit closer head-to-head than we ended up seeing in a lot of those ridings. Like Wayne Gates is longtime incumbent for Niagara Falls. We had thought, based on the polling, maybe he could lose his seat. He won like 53% of the vote there. You know, that one was not necessarily close, but a few other challengers like St. Catharines and Niagara Centre were, I think, closer than the NDP is comfortable with, especially Niagara Centre. Yeah. That one's long-term NDP stronghold. That's like 1975 on has been NDP.
Peter Cormos, I think. Going way back in that one. Niagara West, Osterhoff, of course, had no problem with that one.
Yep.
Okay, post-election, how are you going to use all the brain power that you're about to get back now that we purged our brain of the election?
The federal election.
Oh, don't even start. All right. I pointed out with Manisa, next time you and I get to be on camera together, it's on that desk over there for the first time.
We've never anchored Morning Live together.
No.
We've been on Morning Live together in various roles, but we've never sat on the desk together, and I'm excited.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. We get a full week, Wednesday to Tuesday, so looking forward to that. So have a great weekend. Rest up.
Thank you.
And I will see you bright and early. Not even bright and early. Dark and early. Monday. Thanks for doing this, Emily.
Thank you.
All right. My thanks to Emily Taylor, Manisa Danaballin for joining me today. My thanks to Mike Corsten for directing today's show. And thank you. And while you're here, make sure you like and subscribe to CHCH Podcast. But before you do that, make sure you like and subscribe to all of our various Trending Now social media channels, including on YouTube. So go do that. Check us out. Trending Now CHCH. And then, hey, check us out on CHCH Podcast, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. One more time, thank you for joining us. From all of us here at CHCH, I'm Louis Bucko. Have a great week.